Hi there, I am Kate, the marketing manager at Heritage Venues.
And I'm Jools from the wedding planning team at Heritage Venues.
And we are here today to talk to you about all things weddings. But we have 3 hot topics that we're going to cover, and we hope you enjoy. Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
Great, how are you?
Yes, very good. Very excited to be doing this today. And I think we're going to be able to share some golden nuggets of wedding planning.
Some top tips.
Yes, some top tips, exactly that. So I wanted to know specifically how couples should plan a wedding within a 12-month window. What would you suggest are the sort of top takeaways with that time frame?
So it might vary slightly because the process with us when you book and get handed over might vary slightly. If you're 6 to 12 months, then you've got a little bit longer. So we would contact you as coordinators 6 months before and send over some amazing paperwork, lots of information, so a schedule, table plan documents, things like that. And you'd start filling those in as part of the planning process before you then have your final details meeting. If it's under 6 months, then you have to condense that slightly. So, if you're looking at a 4-month period, you're going to be pretty into the planning heavily straight away, and then kind of moving into that meeting not long after that, the final details meeting, to confirm all the details.
Yeah.
So when you're doing short lead, you have a little bit less time. So you want to get your key suppliers booked in straight away. So like your band, your photographer, band or DJ, photographer, hair and makeup, sort of all those important ones that you really, really want there.
Yeah.
But also focusing on the key elements that you want to include in the wedding day. So like your food, your drink, what your guests are going to enjoy. So yeah, that's important to think about too, so it doesn't get lost.
Yeah.
In the supplier kind of
That's
booking.
Good. And I guess if you've got specific suppliers in mind for your day, they might be working on a lead time which is slightly longer than the 12 months. Yeah. So it's always good to get their availability up front and get them booked, secure your favourite suppliers for the day.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think there's loads of suppliers out there, and if you are set, then that is something you've got to bear in mind with a shorter lead, that they do, especially photographers, get booked up quite far out. So if you couldn't get the one you wanted, you want to be on that pretty quick so you can find someone that you definitely feel is the right fit for your day.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That sounds like a good plan. In terms of contact with the team, so you talked about it sort of starting potentially from the 6-month window.
Yes.
Just elaborate a little bit on that. So they've booked their wedding 12 months in advance. At that point, they are sort of sitting within our sort of sales and operation and wedding planning contact. And then a member of the wedding planning team reaches out to them with those documents and says, hey, introduces themselves. Then talk to me about what the meeting looks like after that. So
once you have all your documents, which will have a lot of information and really guide you through the planning process within the venue itself, so you'll get to grips with a lot more of that. The final details meeting, which happens regularly about kind of 6 to 8 months before, I would say, is when we try and book it in. That meeting is essentially to go through the whole day in detail. So whether it's, a full day, whether it's more evenings or twilight version, whatever that may look like, it's to go through. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, it literally starts with the arrival time to the venue, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And each hour after that, it talks about what's planned for those different time points.
Every single detail. So it's like what you've got booked, what suppliers are coming on site, what time you're arriving, they're arriving. So
what time you're being introduced into the room, who's introducing you into the room, and
who's doing your music for the ceremony. Literally every single detail. Then we'll go through, as it gets into the evening, the wedding breakfast, evening food, kind of entertainment in the evening, finish times, and then you go through kind of all the setup, food, drink choices. So that all needs to be decided really by that point as well.
Dietaries.
Yep.
Anyone that's having an alcoholic drinks package versus a soft drinks package.
Exactly. Table plan is also something, because I think often people might leave the table plan, because I know that's a big, difficult thing to kind of sort out once you've got everyone. But it's helpful to have that at that stage, to have the table plan as well, even if it's kind of a rough draft, but just to really think about all of that, have the dietaries, who's drinking what, sort of,
And we have guidelines on the table plan, like how many tables you can fit within each of the venues, what the configurations are, whether you're having a long top table, round top table, all rounds, banqueting style tables. So really we have the template all created, and it's just a case of popping bums on the seats.
Yeah, definitely. And there's perhaps, depending on what style of catering you're going for, there are layouts that might work better with certain options. So
give me an example of that.
Okay, we do kind of sharing options, which I suppose is more like your feasty type options, where it goes to the centre of the table and everyone kind of helps themselves from there. So with that particular catering option, you have to think about space on the table. So rounds are fine with that, but we would suggest not maxing out each round. So if it's 10 or 12 is the max, go for like 8, or 10 max, 8, between 8 and 10. So just allow yourself some more room, think about centerpieces, but also banqueting, because we can do at Lilybrook double width banqueting, which works amazing for that kind of style.
It looks so good as
well. It looks incredible. It's like a big feasting banquet. So that's also things just to think about, because sometimes you are kind of set on how a table looks, so it can affect your food choices. So that is something to bear in mind as well.
So we will guide all couples through that at the planning stage and within the planning meeting, and let them know what's possible and what's not.
I think it's always good though to raise those questions. Again, not leaving it to the kind of that, because it's quite late in the day by the time. So when you get the information, it's always good to ask these questions. Read through it. If you're not sure on things or you want advice, we are always there to lend a helping hand, give you advice, tell you what works best, so that you aren't fully set on something and then get to that late stage and then be told might not work well or anything like that. So it's always good to get those questions out there.
Perfect. Love that. At what stage would you submit your final numbers and your final food choices? When are they like locked in? Really, we don't want to kind of, move too much from that. And
1 month before, because that's when kind of your final invoice payment is due. So you want to really have everything set in stone by then. We encourage our couples to have everything kind of set mostly by that meeting, just so that you've in your head feel prepared, you know what's coming, and we can kind of budget from that straight after the meeting with your final quote. And then everything's set in stone by that 1 month, so we have time to put in all the orders, make sure the drinks are all available and we can get those in, and it just allows that window. Whether there's late confirmations and things, they can be added in slightly after, but I would say you want to have those definite numbers, so you're not paying for people that are a maybe.
And obviously we do get last minute dropouts. It's the nature of the beast. People can't attend on the day. What's your what way would we distribute? I know one would be to move an evening guest to the day, and to make sure that we're sort of using that sort of meal in a great not wasteful way. And
it does get tricky with dropouts, because once it's past that kind of late stage, there is really nothing we can do, because it's been ordered and everything like that. That's why I say if anyone's a TBC, just leave them off, and then we can add them on at that later stage if they do decide to come. Obviously dropouts do happen, so we'd always promote evening guests. Most of the things in the daytime, so for example your drinks, table wine, evening food and canapes, if you have those, they're not really affected by dropouts, because we still serve them all. Everyone will enjoy them. Someone will drink the drink. So that's all fine. The real bit that you'll lose is just the meal. And look, we've had people that are big eaters and they just want to have the extra meal on top table. That's fine. You can eat the extra meal.
Especially if it's like the mushroom ravioli.
Exactly. Or the beef boggy.
So
if you can squeeze in the extra, feel free. But also suppliers, you normally will have a supplier meal, which is like one course main from your menu. So
you could give them the starter and the purge from the guest that wasn't able to come.
So you can just pass that on to them. So it's a good way to utilise it.
Definitely. Keep them sweet throughout the day. obviously, you have planned lots of weddings.
Yeah.
What would you say is your sort of planning takeaway? What do you advise couples to think about in the planning stage that is a must do?
I think, as I mentioned, vision is a big thing for couples. So a lot of brides and grooms, but mostly brides, have thought a lot about how they envisage the day to be.
Yeah.
So sometimes that really takes over the whole planning process. It's a lot about this huge vision. And ultimately as well, yes, it is their day, but the guests are going to be enjoying every element of that. So my advice, I think, is to, as I said, book those key suppliers and really sort of nail down things that you want at the venue. So your food, your drink, the things that the guests are really going to enjoy.
Yeah, and talk about.
Yeah. Obviously, entertainment, evening entertainment is a good one. You want to sort that out early too. But there are lots of things available, like extras that we promote. So things like cocktail ladder, additional drink stations. You can have bits and pieces like that will also be a memorable thing for guests to take away.
Yeah. Adding canapes to your drinks reception.
Exactly.
Because that is always a nice little, pre-meal taster to have in line with the drinks. And guests do always love them. And we've got such a good selection as well. So
yeah. And I think there are so many things out there now where you can save on decoration, there are so many easy ways to DIY things now, and I've seen some incredible ones this year.
And let's face it, the venue is stunning.
Exactly.
And both venues, and it is easy to walk in there and just do nothing with it, and it still is going to give you a really impactful wow wedding.
Yeah, and season really changes what you need as well. So with winter, I think the focus is more on lighting because it gets dark earlier. You want those twinkly lights, candles, extra lights, things like that. Whereas summer is probably more like bright flowers and things, maybe less emphasis on lighting because it's brighter later.
Yeah. Maybe like garden games.
Exactly,
or, it's, and stuff for them to do outside, stuff your guests to do and enjoy.
Yeah. Where you're channeling your budget is definitely one to think about.
That's really good. Twilight weddings.
Yes.
Something that we're now offering at Lilybrook Manor.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could just talk a little bit about that. So the wedding starts later in the day. So it's a 4 p.m. start at the venue.
Yeah.
So who do you think those weddings will appeal to and why?
Well, they are more budget friendly, definitely more, or can be, a more casual, relaxed atmosphere. So I think it's definitely perhaps targeted towards people that are looking for maybe a bit more flexibility, a bit more of a relaxed, casual feel. They start a bit later in the day, so you can have more time in the day to kind of get ready. Yeah. Start a bit later if you're not a morning person.
No, 5:30 start.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds amazing.
So you can still fit everything in. You could have a full off-site ceremony, even a ceremony on site, or a more casual type of ceremony on site, which then still allows you to have this full wedding day, but perhaps with a lower budget and more relaxed feel.
You could also look to invite all of your guests for the full day and sort of wedding breakfast, and then maybe not even invite extra additional evening guests. Yeah. And then you're just feeding everybody at the wedding breakfast stage. Or if you did want to have a more intimate wedding breakfast and ceremony, and then you can invite more people in the evening for a bit more of a party.
Yeah, definitely.
And look at how you distribute the budget that way, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it's lovely. And obviously it's a reduced venue hire, so it's 3,500 on a Friday.
Yeah, it's amazing.
In July, which is an incredible time.
Summer, Friday. Yeah,
perfect. At Lilybrook Manor, it's going to be running for the whole of 2025, all remaining dates. And there are some key summer dates still available as well. So
get in quick.
Yeah, definitely. Fabulous. Right. I think it's been a really useful conversation to talk about the planning side of things, because it is daunting when you've never planned a wedding before.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to think about.
Yeah. So I do think hopefully couples will enjoy this. It has been fantastic for you guys to join us today, and tune in for the next episode.